Today we're going to look at artwork by Mondrian. He loved jazz music. You're listening to jazz. His first subjects were realistic, things he saw in everyday life. He was a great artist and he could draw pretty much anything he wanted to. He copied the style that was popular and sold his work. He was known to be realistic in his paintings at the beginning of his career, but then he moved on to more abstract work. Later in his work, he became very interested in geometric shapes, and his work became famous, of course, after his death. He was alive 1872 to 1944, and what he was doing at the time was very different from everybody else's artwork. He was concerned with color and shape. Let's see if we can figure out his recipe. What were the parts or the elements of his artwork? Here's a quote, "Curves are so emotional." He used perpendicular straight lines. A perpendicular line is at a right angle to another line. So this right angle, what does it mean? It's measured by the degrees around a circle of 360 degrees around the circle. So it's just a quarter turn of a circle is 90 degrees. Don't worry about the terms so much, because there's a lot of big words that we're going to use. We want to get to the meaning of them, but when you use them, they're going to make more sense. There's all different types of angles. The narrower one is acute. The right angle is kind of straight up, vertical, and horizontal line. Obtuse has a larger opening. So we're just remembering he uses straight lines that intersect, where lines cross over each other. We've talked about that before. This is an intersection right here. He uses horizontal lines. Horizon is the line at which the sky and earth appear to meet. And he uses vertical lines. A vertical line is at a right angle to the plane of the horizon. So he uses parallel lines, which means they have the same measurement between the two lines and they do not cross over or intersect. That's a parallel line. So I'm just kind of practicing with his recipe. Lots of black lines, and the lines do not go from thick to thin. They're all kind of the same size. And he also uses primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And they do have some intersections, but I notice he has no diagonals. That's really the point. In his recipe, straight black lines, primary colors. The lines are about the same thickness. He does leave some white space. I think that's all the parts of the recipe. Remember, no diagonals. That's the one that goes corner to corner. On the color wheel, yellow, red, and blue are the primary colors. They're the colors that make all of the other colors. So from our art kit today, we're going to get out our glue stick, our black and white paper, red, yellow, and blue paper to start making our own collage from Mondrian. Let's try it together. Cover your workspace with your drawing pad. I like to take a tiny piece of tape to tape down my paper so it won't wiggle away from me. Remember, when you're cutting the lines, you can make them any thickness you want, but they should all be close to the same size. And they're not curving, they're straight. They don't go from thick to thin. He keeps them all about the same size. We're not trying to be perfect. You're going to decide where to place the black lines. Remember composition, we talked about that before, the position or the place. You decide how many black lines, you decide how many intersections, but remember there are no diagonals in Mondrian's recipe. We call those right angles, where it looks like an L shape. And I'm just measuring my paper. I'm calling it eyeballing. That means I'm not getting my ruler out. But if you feel like you want to use a ruler and measure the spaces, of course you can. This film has been sped up, so take your time. Make your decisions about which color will go where, how many lines, as long as there's no diagonals. The color shapes in the primary colors are squares and rectangles. We're following his recipe so we can figure out how he did his artwork. Once we've got that figured out, we might try a whole other way of doing it. I'm just starting my cleanup. I'm being sure that I've got the cap on the glue stick, getting all my papers because we're going to use those for another project. I'm going to put all of that back in my kit so I can find it when I need it. About 70 years after his death, one of his oil paintings sold for $50 million, people! Okay, money's not everything. I'll try and calm down. This is a young artist working with oil pastels, and here's some of the work that was created by the group. They look so good when they're put together. We also sprayed it with blue ink and made a resist because where the oil pastel was very thick, the blue would not go. Then we rubbed it to blot it off and revealed the work. So it kind of filled in the white spaces with blue. That changed the recipe a little bit, but don't they look great? You can change up materials and follow the recipe. For this one we had clear acetate and then we had colored acetate in primary colors. We used black electrical tape and children chose how many intersections, how many lines, what size the colors were going to be, and we filled up the whole hallway with the sun catchers. It made beautiful colors all over the hall as the sun shone through. Thanks for trying it today. See you next time.